Sometimes we hear from people who say, my spouse is just too strong-willed. He or she runs over me. And we're used to dealing with that. But believe it or not, there's a thing that's exactly opposite to that. When sometimes a spouse wants out of a relationship because they see their spouse as not being strong enough, not confident. We have a caller here that has that question. Let's hear what he has to say.
My wife recently had an affair and is still talking to other men. She's kicked me out of the house. And I've been trying to work on my pies and be a better person physically, intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually. Last night I had a conversation with her. It's been 2 months since I was kicked out. And she told me that the problem that she has with me is that I'm weak, that I'm needy, that I have no confidence. My question is how do I get that back? How do I become confident again? How do I stop being needy?
So this is Kimberly Holmes, the CEO of MH International. We work with marriages in all kinds of situations, and I'm Dr. Joe Beam. We have been working with marriages, at least I have, for over a quarter of a century. That would be a little young for Kimberly, but she's been working with marriage now for several years. So Kimberly, do you think people ever stop to think that sometimes it's not being too dominant, but not being strong enough that causes a marriage problem?
Well, I do, because I have had friends who have had this situation. And, I'd be interested to see what you have to say about this, but typically I see it causing the most conflict when it's the wife that is more strong-willed than the husband. And so that can definitely cause problems. I think partly because our society expects the opposite. And so when a woman is very strong-willed and feels like her husband isn't stepping up to the plate or never will kind of give her what she needs to not fight back towards her, but to sharpen her, to strengthen her, she can feel a lack of respect towards him. That's a problem.
Well, I think it's a big problem. And you're right, part of it's societal, so it may not be the same in every culture, but it's definitely the culture in the United States of America. It's definitely the culture that we expect the man to be the dominant one and the woman not to be. Now, that's changing. In my lifetime, I've seen it change quite a bit, and it will continue to change, but we're dealing with the here and now. Now, I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong. We're not here to discuss society, social ills, et cetera. We're here to talk about relationships between a man and a woman, a husband and a wife. And in this case, as we have seen with many cases, the woman is apparently the stronger personality, and he does not stand up to her. Now, Kimberly, his motivation may simply be his personality. He's just a laid-back, easygoing kind of guy that listens. And what you just said makes sense. She's not wanting him just to hear. She's wanting some opposition, because people with strong personalities often need to compete, if you will. Like, I need to throw some things at you, but I need you to throw things back at me. I don't want to run over you, because then I feel, what do you have to offer? And so when we see it, and as you're saying, this happens more often, at least in our experience, where it's the woman who's the stronger personality than the man. So we look at this guy and say, you don't have to become somebody you're not. But if this is how it's playing out in your relationship, then this is what we would call a push, meaning that there's a behavior occurring that, rather than drawing her to you, is pushing her away from you, because what she's wanting from you is that you stand up and be strong. You don't have to be mean to do that. You don't have to be angry to do that. You can do it extremely calmly, but you have to do it with confidence that you think well. In other words, what I think, what I feel, what I have to say is worthwhile and needs to be heard. It doesn't mean disrespecting her, but it does mean getting her to respect you. Now, Kimberly, you're a strong-willed person, and you married a strong-willed guy. It's
Yes.
kind of an interesting combination. And from the time that you were a child, because I think most people know now that you are our youngest daughter, we kept telling you that as strong-willed as you are, you needed to marry a strong-willed man, because you probably would run over him, and then one of two things would occur. He would lose respect for you, or you would lose respect for him.
Sure.
Were we right?
You were right, because as you have pointed out, at least to me personally, many of the people I dated in high school and in college were not that strong. we're not that strong-willed type of person, which was easy, right? For me, it was easy to just say, hold my purse, do this, and they would do it.
Your mom and I had this thing. Every time we saw one of the guys you were dating carrying your purse, we'd look at each other and say, well, that's the end of him because she's running over him. She'll lose respect for him. She's going to move on. It doesn't mean he wasn't a good guy. Doesn't mean he didn't deserve respect. That's not what it means at all. It just means that you needed somebody as strong as you to stand up to you. Now, Rob is not the same personality that you are. He's a different personality, but he's very strong and very confident. It might lead to a little bit more arguing, but it's a thing where you develop respect for each other because you need competition. And it sounds as if this woman needs competition as well. So how does he do this without becoming a totally different person than he is? How does he do this?
Well, that's the key question, because if it is someone's personality style or temperament that they more naturally go towards, then it's going to feel like it's going to feel abnormal. It's going to feel like a stretch for them to start doing this, to get out of their comfort zone might be a way to put it. But he could start. So this man, for example, could simply start by, if he actually disagrees with something, then say it. Don't just say, no, whatever you want to do, or everything's fine. I mean, a classic example could be, the two people who can't figure out where they want to eat, and the one person's just saying, oh, I don't care. Well, that's a great opportunity to say, well, here's where I want to go. Make a decision. Show her that you can make a decision and stick with it. Even if she says, I don't want to go there. Say, well, you asked me, and it's something I would really like to do. Because that is one way. I mean, just starting to do it is one way to start doing it more. What would you say, though?
I would agree with that. I would add a little bit to it in the sense that if she really wanted to go someplace else, then he could say, I'm willing to listen. But you asked what I thought, and this is what I want to do. But I'll hear otherwise. Sure. So the thing is, it becomes actually a change of lifestyle. Here's a couple of specific suggestions as to things to stop. Don't let yourself be run over. I'm not saying that you have to be mean, arrogant, those kinds of things. That's bad. It'll always have bad results. But be strong enough that if you feel you're being taken advantage of, you're being talked down to, or anything else that's negative, that you can calmly but strongly and confidently say, I would appreciate it very much if you did not talk to me like that. And if she talks to it more, say, well, actually, I'm going to have to say, I will not allow you to talk to me like that. That's not acceptable to me. And you can do that in very calm ways and very confident ways. And you don't let the other person just run over you. It doesn't mean you have to fight about every little thing. That's not what we're talking about. It doesn't become where it's total and complete contention. It's just that you matter, that you see, confidence is a pull. Confidence that you can think well, that what you feel is important, that what you want is important as well. Not becoming a dictator or dominating, that's terrible. But confidence is extremely attractive. If you took two people and stood them side by side, and one of them was a little bit more handsome, a little bit smarter, a little bit better at evoking positive emotions, all those kinds of things we talk about, but this one is more confident, almost always people will go toward a more confident person. Not arrogance. Just believing in yourself and standing up for yourself when you need to be. You can do that. So it's kind of a lifestyle change, but at the same time, it doesn't mean a dramatic lifestyle change. And the second thing is this: if your wife is unhappy about something, don't run yourself down. We see this happen all the time. Oh, I'm sorry. And then she says something else. Oh, I'm so sorry. Stop that. Now, if you're sorry, say it once, maybe twice. After that, if the person keeps bringing it up, say, well, I'm glad I learned better, or I'm happy I see it in a different light now. Because if you keep saying you're sorry, you actually begin to implant in the other person's mind that you're weak, that you have no backbone, and that you are sorry in the sense of the way we use the word down here in the Deep South, like he's just sorry. Don't plant that idea in the other person's mind. So say sorry when it's appropriate, but don't belabor that. By the way, you'll also program your own self badly if you do that. So quit running yourself down. Don't make yourself arrogant. Stand up for yourself. So Kimberly, what other thing can we say as we wrap this up? Because I think what we're talking about is something the man can do if he will do.
He mentioned in the call that he is currently working on his pies. So for those of you who may be new to Marriage Helper, that is what we talk about being the most attractive you can be in those 4 areas: physical, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual. And just as Dr. Beam was saying, if you're wanting to gain confidence, then by focusing on these 4 areas, that's going to be a quick way, I say, because it's not going to be overnight, but it is the thing you can focus on that will get you to gain that confidence. You'll start feeling better about yourself, see your own value, your own self-worth, and that's going to show to the other people in your life. Now, we have a phenomenal course for someone in this position called the Save My Marriage course, where there's a spouse who wants out. You're not quite sure what to do. You have a ton of questions. And the Save My Marriage course that we have would be a great plan, a framework for someone like this to follow, to know here's the things I need to start doing. Here's the things I need to stop doing, going even deeper than what we've shared in this video. And so if that's something that you're saying, yes, I do want my marriage to work, I need to figure out how to do it, I need a plan to follow, then the Save My Marriage course will give you that plan. And it comes with a community group as well as weekly group support calls for the time of that course. So be sure to go and look at that, because it can get you started right away into knowing what you can do.
And that'll be on your screen right now, that link you can see there about how you get that. And Kimberly, would it be appropriate to refer people to the, I think you do a blog or something about pies?
Podcast. I do a podcast, yes.
Talk about that podcast for a second, because this is something you can listen to that Kimberly does regularly
every week
about physical, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual growth. I
do. You can find it anywhere you listen to podcasts. Or Apple Podcast, Google, Spotify, Pandora, even Audible. So it's called It Starts With Attraction. Be sure to go subscribe, leave a review so that you can keep seeing it every single week. And every week there's a new tactical thing we talk about how you can implement something that day that's going to help you in one of these 4 areas or more, depending on what the topic is.
Okay. And you interview other people and experts as well as giving your own advice?
I do. Yes, I've had. Well, yes, it's a wealth of knowledge and information. And one of the things that I actually got recent feedback on from hundreds of the people who have listened to it is they say, I never thought that was something that would help me with my pies. Yeah. But at the end of every episode, I do a key pies takeaway, and I relate what we talked to directly to how it relates to someone's pies, even things like sleep or learning, continuing to learn, even the environment that you're in, how you set your rooms up and things like that. All of it can relate. So we talk about all that in each episode.
So, young man, you who asked the question, this is fixable. You can do this. It probably won't fix itself overnight, but you are the one who can fix this by becoming stronger, calmer, more confident, and go to Kimberly's podcast. She can give you great ideas there. Get into the Save My Marriage course. But at the very least, start believing in you. That's where this is going to start.